Can you explain what truly is the Mets pitching lab, how you guys apply it, who goes there, what's happening, and how we're seeing the results on the field at Citi Field?
Obviously, there is a physical lab, right? And there's a place where guys go and throw in for St. Lucie. But I think the lab is all the people, right? It's all the people around these guys. Yes, the lab is a piece of like what we do, but we utilize it a lot during spring training because it's right there, obviously. But during the season, we don't get to use it as much. Guys are on rehab or something like that, then they'll go through it. But it's just a room. And it's got a mound and a plate and net. The hitters can get in there and we can throw our bullpen, and it's got the same kind of biomechanical information that we get here at Citi Field and some of the affiliates. So we can kind of compare like what they're doing in the lab versus in the game. It's not always apples to apples, but like you can start to gain some knowledge there, and then like you can experiment with different, like, hey, I want my leg kick to do this and see what comes out, or I want to do this with my delivery, or I really want to focus on this thing, and you can get the kind of the feedback.
Welcome to Meet at the Apple, presented by PC Richard & Son. I'm Vito Calisi, that's Jonathan Barron, and today we are joined by the Mets pitching coach, Jeremy Hefner. And Jeremy, the first thing I would like to talk to you about is something I heard Ryan Stanek say a few weeks back. He said the reason the bullpen was doing so good was because they're buying into the philosophy, into your philosophy specifically. What would you say that is this philosophy they're buying into?
I don't know if we have something like explicit, but I just want them to be themselves, and I want them to be their best selves as much as possible, and not trying to do too much and controlling what we can control. Like, can't control the umpire, can't control how many runs we score, can't control what happens when after the ball leaves our hand. And so as long as we're making sound decisions on our sequencing and we're leaning into our strengths, then that's probably like the philosophy, I guess, that we're buying into.
You guys have a great, I think surprising to some year last year when it comes to pitching. You go into the offseason, some faces out, some faces in. Prognosticators, not that they matter, but some people say the Mets don't have enough pitching to compete fully this year. You lose Sean, you lose Frankie, you lose Paul early on, and yet here we are, it's almost May, and you guys have the best run prevention staff in all of baseball. How is it happening?
Well, it's a lot of this starts with our catchers. Louis and Sangs have done an incredible job back there, throwing guys out, right? So like, I don't
Can't
know.
score if you're not on the bases.
Right. Well, that, and like, I don't know how many guys we've actually thrown out, but like those are guys that are no longer in scoring position, right? So everybody talks about like our ERA is good and all that kind of stuff. Well, those guys have thrown out a lot of guys in scoring position, right? And then I think it goes back to your first question of like this philosophy and all those types of things. It's something that we've tried to do here every year, and more or less like, it's sticking maybe a little bit better. Could be Desi and Rosie and support staff and all that kind of stuff, like really rallying around guys. But I've tried to make it a point to encourage the guys, again, to like control what you can control. Like, you're in AAA, you're in the big leagues, you're hurt, whatever, like wherever you're at today, like, be the best pitcher that you can possibly be today. And then like your goals and the things that you want to try to achieve, like you'll put your best foot forward in those spaces. And so, it stinks to lose Sean and Frankie and Paul at the get-go, but like, we still got to play baseball games, and we still got to win, and we still have our team goals in mind. And so next man up, and when those guys are ready, then obviously like we'll welcome them back. But we got to keep going.
So we talked about philosophy. We talked about the work you do with all of these guys. And one thing that's interesting, we've talked to all the guys who came over this year, and they all talked about in the offseason why they wanted to come here. And they brought up conversations with you, conversations with David, conversations about the pitching lab, the training staff specifically. All of these things were brought up. And without giving up too much information, how are you kind of pitching guys on this is the perfect place for you to be?
I think you hit on a lot of it, right? Like, I get a lot of the credit because I'm the pitching coach, right? But like, there's so many people that have a hand in each individual guy, whether it's the performance group, our analytics group, helping them, discover an answer to a question that they might have, our biomechanics group, like I don't know how many's in our traveling party, but there's a lot of people around these guys, and I tend to get some of the credit or most of the credit, but like I don't deserve it, right? Like I'm a piece of the pie for these guys, and I just try to do my part to get them in a position, and if they have a question, direct them in the right way if I don't know the answer. And so I think that's the beauty of what we have going on here is like not only are the players connected to all those different kind of groups, but the groups, the support staff is all connected as well. And that's something that Mindy's preached here for 2 years is developing relationships and connectivity, not only player to staff, but also staff to staff and player to player. And so if we're all moving in that direction, we're all pulling for each other and everybody has a seat at the table, then I think you get the most out of guys.
You talked about biomechanics, you talked about analytics, and one thing that a lot of fans have talked about in the last couple of years is the pitching lab,
Sure.
which has been somewhat of a buzz term.
Yeah.
So, I mean, we have Jeremy Hefner here. Without divulging all the trade secrets and telling us too much, can you explain what truly is the Mets pitching lab, how you guys apply it, who goes there, what's happening, and how we're seeing the results on the field at Citi Field?
Yeah. So I think like obviously there is a physical lab, right? And there's a place where guys go and throw in Port St. Lucie. But I think like I've been asked this question a bunch, and like the answer that I give is like the lab is all the people, right? It's all the people around these guys.
No AI, by the way, just brains.
Right.
I like that.
Right. So like, yes, the lab is a piece of like what we do, but we utilize it a lot during spring training because it's right there, obviously. But during the season, we don't get to use it as much because, if guys are in rehab or something like that, then they'll go through it. But it's just a room, and it's got a mound and a plate and a net, and so the guys can, the hitters can get in there, and we can throw our bullpen, and it's got the same kind of biomechanical information that we get here at Citi Field and some of the affiliates. So we can kind of compare like what they're doing in the lab versus in the game. It's not always apples to apples, but like you can start to gain some knowledge there, and then like you can experiment with different, like, hey, I want my leg kick to do this and see what comes out, or I want to do this with my delivery, or I really want to focus on this thing, and you can get the kind of the feedback. So very similar to a bullpen setup, just has the motion tracking system attached to it.
And I know David was asked this yesterday. He had a presser with the media, and it was brought up that you've been here through a lot of different regimes, different managers, different front offices, pretty unique in your position. And so I'm wondering where the pitching lab is today, and the technology and the infrastructure and all that's been invested in trying to make pitchers the best that they can be. How far has it come since you first started in this very role when you started with the Mets as pitching coach?
Yeah, I don't know how many TrackMans we actually had, but it wasn't many. How
many do you have now?
A lot. Okay. Yeah, I think it's a credit to Fred. When I first started, like he started the investment process, right? And then, Steve taking over is taking it to another level with investment and, the lab in Port St. Lucie, and then the different cameras and all the different types of technology, and like human capital too. Like we invested in people and having bodies to diagnose like what's going on and to help me kind of comb through everything, right? So it's kind of been both, and like, it's like the more you know, the less you know type of thing. Like I feel like we've really expanded in this space, and like it just creates more questions. Like your curiosity can go a million different places, right? Where if you don't have the information, you're kind of like, you're just on your own, and and your experience and like what you've learned as a player or from another coach. And then you get some of this objective information. It's like, oh, what if we do this? And what if we do that? And so I think that's the beauty of our group is like, there's a curiosity spirit among, not just in the big leagues, but like throughout of our whole pitching structure. And I think that's, it's fun because it gets you excited to come into work because you may not know what you might discover and how it may help a guy.
So one guy you've worked with through more than anybody, I mean, you have the most experience with on this team probably, is Tylor Megill. And you've seen Tylor Megill have a lot of really good Aprils. I mean, he's pitched what we talked about it the other week, like 3 or 4 different between home openers and opening days. He's just been a mainstay of this team in April. This year feels different.
Yeah.
This feels permanent. What do you see about this year with Tylor that's different in years past?
Yeah, I don't want to speak for him too much, but like I think he has a shift in mentality, a more of an aggressive mindset, as opposed to like kind of letting the game come to him. Like he's trying to impose his will on the game. That's something that we talked about in the offseason a little bit, and then definitely in the spring training, trying to take his game to the next level and be the guy that we all think he can be. And I think you saw that a little bit last night, where he was just going to come after guys, and whatever the results are, the results are. But like I'm going to fire my best bullets.
How about Clay Holmes, a guy who was a closer or reliever with the Yankees crosstown? 2 days before Juan Soto comes over, Clay Holmes comes over, and the news is out that it's to be a starting pitcher, not a reliever. So then you're tasked with, number one, stretching him out, number two, making sure he's ready to go through a lineup 2, maybe 3 times. What's that process been like, and where is Clay at right now?
Yeah, I mean, huge credit to Desi. Obviously, they had the relationship being with the Yankees the last few years. But even before we signed him, he was kind of already on this path of wanting to start and training his body to start. So we kind of benefited from some groundwork that had already been laid. And like Clay's an extremely hard worker and extremely smart. And so like we knew like we were getting a player that could handle this from a physical standpoint and a mental standpoint. It was a matter of like just gaining the experience, right? It's like going through it and understanding like what a 5-day and a 6-day looks like. What do my bullpens look like? Because he started in the past, right? But like it's been a few years, and his body's changed and his delivery's changed, and so how might that impact his day-to-day routine? So I feel like each rotation of, even during spring training, each rotation he learned a little bit more about like what his program should look like, and feel like he's in a pretty good spot. And yeah, now it's like where do we use the 4-seamer? Where do we use the cutter? Like now it's just like pitching. And it's fun because he has all these different weapons, and we can be creative and try to attack lineups in a specific way.
So you brought up Desi, and I think fans are really interested to know, like, what's the working relationship like between you guys? Mm-hmm. Like, how does that break down now that you've added this other person into your squad and like helping you shape guys up?
Yeah, I think Rosie and Danny Barnes and Desi and myself, like, all have some things in common, and then we're all uniquely gifted as well. And so, you have 4 pitching guys for 13 plus rehabs. Like that's a good ratio, right? Like I feel like the guys are going to get what they need. And Desi's just come alongside, and he's got some expertise on like how the ball moves in the air and grips and those types of things. And I think he's just an extension of, no different than Danny and Rosie, like an extension of me and what we're trying to do. And I get pulled in a meeting with Mindy or with David or whatever, and I'm not around to answer a question or do a podcast. Yeah, I'm sure there's someone in there right now talking to Desi about something. And so like those guys are on the ready to answer.
We asked you about a couple guys. I want to get back to that. I want to ask you about Kodai Senga, who is back fully in business. We all know what happened last year, disappointing after a phenomenal rookie season. So let's forget about last year. Let's compare Kodai from 2023 to 2025. He comes back. He's fully healthy. What do you see in Kodai? Is he the same guy he was 2 years ago, or is he adjusted as he continues to learn the major league game more?
Yeah, I think he's close. He's close to 23. Obviously, like we're on the scoreless streak and all that kind of stuff. But
knock on glass.
Yeah, knock on glass. Not that I'm superstitious at all, and I'm really not. Yeah, I think we're close. There's a couple things. The Philo, I think you saw, like he hit some 96s, 97s the last time out, which is super encouraging. Feel like he's responding pretty well. The split, like people continue to swing at it, and it's a special pitch. And there's a couple things that we need to clean up, but like obviously like the results have been incredible, and super proud of him and happy for him that he's feeling good and happy for the team, like because we are much better with Kodai chucking it every 5 or 6 days.
One thing we noticed, his start against the Cardinals last Saturday, no hard hit balls, no barrels. And that's been a theme of this entire staff. You guys have the highest K rate in baseball. Mm-hmm. You have one of the lowest barrel rates against in all of baseball, and you've only allowed 10 home runs now, I think, in 23 games, which is by far the fewest in Major League Baseball. As far as avoiding hard contact, what are you doing to help make that all happen? What are the guys doing to help make that all happen?
Yeah, it's a hard question to answer because it's multifaceted and like it's different for each guy. But we focus on not walking guys. We focus on
and the team's improved a lot in that category.
Yeah, we still got a little bit of work to do, but still not where we want to be. But definitely moving in the right direction. Obviously, the strikeouts have been really good, and then the third component is the quality of contact, right? So like we're kind of judging all our guys and our performance and how we think about the game through those lens, because pitchers don't necessarily have control over quality of contact, but like if you get that, then that's obviously a good thing, right? Like you have a little bit more control over strikeouts and walks. So those are the three things that we kind of focus on, and our advanced process and our sequencing and how we're using our pitches and how we're developing our pitches is to those ends. And so it's nice to get, how many games are we in? 22? 23. So like you got 23 games here of sample that's like the returns have been really good. And so kind of validates some of the things that we've been working on, and but also quick to like, if something starts to go awry, it's like, then we need to right the ship a little bit. But so far so good, and definitely got a lot of ball left.
It's funny. You asking what game it is funny, because just like last year when I would do smoke, the first like month or two of the season, I would come back in and you would be like, how many games left? Every time I walked in, and I would freeze every time and be like, I have no clue. So I'm glad we were prepared with knowing 23.
I knew the 10 and 23 stat. That's the only reason I know.
Okay.
It's because I'm paying close attention to that.
The homers. Yeah.
Yeah, the Stott home run last night, kind of the single digit thing.
Right.
So you brought up sequencing and how you're working with guys. And one thing that it feels like is really important to you guys and part of this team culture is pitch mix and throwing the kitchen sink. We have guys like Clay Holmes or Kodai Senga on a certain night will throw 7 different pitches. Tylor Megill we've seen has an arsenal. Paul Blackburn, who's rehabbing right now, same thing. How important is that to you? And how are you like helping guys work on just multiple things at once? Because like to the common person, it's hard to multitask on a day at a desk job. I can't imagine what it's like doing it in real time.
Yeah, I think different guys struggle, they struggle to keep a particular pitch like dialed in. So that's the pitch that they, try to hone in, every, whether it's a bullpen or a reliever doing their pregame work. So it's not like they're working on all the pitches all the time. It's more like, greasing the grooves on the fastball and sinker, but like the cutter evades them. And so we got to work on the cutter a lot more. And then the curveball is usually always there. Right. So I think it's different for each guy. But in terms of the kitchen sink, like hitting's hard, extremely hard. And then you got to try to cover like 7 different pitches that are all like really good. That's feels like it's a really good plan for a pitcher to try to attack. Now, like if a guy can't do it, right? If 7's too many because he can't keep those dialed in, then that's when you shrink the package and like really try to maybe just hone in on 3, and try to make those really, really good. But if guys can add pitches, like it's usually a good thing.
Off topic, but I have to ask you, are you pro ABS or anti ABS?
I'm pro challenge.
Pro challenge.
Yeah. I'm
You
not
don't
pro
like
full ABS. No.
Okay. What do you think about the spring training experiment?
Yeah. I mean, I like it. I just want strikes called strikes. You know what I mean? Like I understand the stealing strikes and like we're getting pitches outside the zone called strikes, and there's a technique to that. But like I want if a guy throws a quality pitch in the zone and he gets balled on it, that drives me insane. And so
you chirping?
We're so far away. We're so far away here at Citi Field. Like it's
from the umpire.
Yeah, and I don't have a booming voice, and so
you've got a pretty deep voice.
It's also hard. There's a glass wall now, right? Next to you too,
but it
right?
doesn't carry. It doesn't carry very well. So yeah, I think that I don't know where to land. I just wish that like every time a guy threw the ball in the zone, like it would get called a strike. And if it's a ball, it's a ball. Like that's why it's a strike zone. Like, you know what I mean? That's why it's there. It's like, so that gets frustrating at times, but I do think the the challenge system worked well, and I think the guys generally liked it.
Yeah, the challenge system is interesting because you've got, hitters I think are over aggressive. We've talked to some guys in the minor leagues about it. The hitters, they always think they're right.
Mm-hmm.
I really feel like the catcher is the one who should be initiating. But you guys have some guys in AAA right now that can make an impact at some point here this season. Blade Tidwell, Brandon Sproat, down in AA, Nolan McLean, Dom Hamel, another guy in AAA. How closely are you monitoring some of the guys who could be up here at some point, helping the Mets down the stretch?
I mean, I don't watch every pitch that our guys make in AA and AAA, but like certainly we get reports every day on who throws and their movements and, all the things that we talked about earlier, their strikeouts, walks, quality of contact, like all those types of things. So yeah, very close tabs. AJ's doing a great job with those guys down there, and Jags and Grayson and Kyle are pitching group leadership, getting those guys steered in the right direction. It's been really cold. It's been really cold. So like, it's tough to like gauge any successes or failures, just like how miserable it's been, kind of pitching in those conditions. But yeah, excited for them. They're going to get here. You know what I mean? So right now for them, it's just like gaining that experience and making sure that when their time is called, like they're best prepared to help us out.
Are you also paying attention to the dog report from Tylor Zuber?
I'm not.
Oh, he's on Twitter.
He's on Twitter every game. I don't know how Tylor Zuber pays attention to every Mets game, but Tylor Zuber's locked in, and every time something happens, he's naming who's the dog of the game.
The dog of the game.
DAWG. Positive.
Positive dog.
Yeah.
Positive
the dog report.
So was Megill the dog last
There was
night?
a lot of dogs last night.
I mean, Lindor was
for sure.
Tylor was great, though.
Yeah.
Tylor was great.
But I want to ask you about, so yesterday we spoke to Griffin Canning, and we asked him just what it's been like being here and the culture, and the same things that we talk about with a lot of guys. But the interesting thing he brought up is a guy he's not even got to be in a rotation with yet. He brought up Sean Manaea and how important Sean Manaea is to this clubhouse and to this staff, and about how Sean Manaea is always working with guys, always like coaching them. He told us about the money challenge they have right now. Can you talk about having a guy like Sean in your rotation and how excited you were when he was coming back?
Yeah. Sean's the glue guy. Right.
That's what we said yesterday.
Yeah, he's a glue guy. Keeps it light, keeps it fun. But there's also an accountability feature to him as well. And like, I think that's the beauty of Sean is he's seen a lot of baseball, and he's been on a lot of different types of teams, and has excelled at being at an awesome teammate. Like he's top 3 teammate that I've ever been around. Just in terms of how he's able to include everyone. And make it fun, and it's a joy to have him.
Can you name the top 3 real quick? Do you mind?
Yeah, I'd say Q, Sean, Otto. Yeah, those would probably be my like off the top of my head. I'd have to go back and like look at some rosters and stuff, but those would be my top 3 probably.
I know we've asked you about a lot of guys. There's one more guy I want to ask you about. I think he is one of the most underrated weapons on this entire staff, and he's an incredible story also. Reed Garrett.
Reed Garrett.
This is a guy who was riding the AAA Express 2 years ago, and he has turned into a premier fire extinguishing relief pitcher in this bullpen. How has Reed Garrett become the dominant pitcher he has become?
Well, it's all him. Like he had to make the decision to do some of the things that we asked him to do. But like huge credit to Jags and our player development people, and kind of painting this picture for him. We were certainly a part of that process, but like he had to do some of this in AAA and believe in the sinker and believe in the sweeper and get the cutter a little bit better. Like the split was already really good. He learned it overseas when he was playing. So we just kind of added to the toolbox and kind of painted this picture for like how to attack lefties, how to attack righties, and what he could be if he made these changes. And he's obviously bought in, and it's a huge credit to him because he's the man in the arena, right? He's the one out there doing it, and we just get to sit back and watch.
So just one final guy I want to ask you about is Max Kranick, because Max Kranick is a guy where a lot of fans didn't know him before this year, But if you pay attention, he was on the playoff roster last year. So you guys saw something in Max Kranick.
Yeah.
And it's interesting for you because you're working with a kid who grew up being a fan of the team you played for. So tell us about just what you guys saw in Max Kranick to put him on the playoff roster, and then what you're seeing from him this year.
Yeah, it's an awesome story, and it's a story of like resilience, and didn't have a great beginning of the year last year, and ended up getting taken off the roster halfway through the season, and then there's two paths to take at that point, right? You can feel sorry for yourself and play the victim, or you can like, no, I'm going to show you guys like I need to be I'm a major league player, and I'm gonna. And so he chose that route. And like again, huge credit to Grayson, who was our AAA pitching coach at the time. They went to work on his delivery and got him moving better, and ends up throwing 97 and like pitching really well the second half of the season. And he had a lot of pitches that he could throw, and we had a spot open, and so it made sense to put him on the roster in the playoffs. And then he just kind of continued that work into the offseason, and now we're reaping the benefits of that. And again, huge credit to Max and his willingness to kind of buy in on what we were trying to do and what we kind of envisioned he could be. And like, he's pitching big innings for us now. And again, like we get to sit back and like I get to be a fan, right? I get to sit. Obviously, I have a really good seat too, but in a lot of ways, like I'm rooting them on just like everyone else in the stadium.
One last true final question for you. Sorry,
we
this
had
is a good one.
5 last questions.
No. My Reed Garrett one was my last player question,
okay,
and then Vito had one more guy to ask you. But this is the hard hitting one. What's your favorite uniform combination?
I like the blacks.
Did you wear it as a player?
Yes.
You're in luck tonight then.
Yeah, I love the blacks. I think 13 was the year that they brought him back.
21 was the year that...
No.
13 they got rid of him, didn't they?
Yeah, they went away.
Yeah. 13 they got rid of him, and then they 12, came back in...
So 12 we still had him?
Yeah. I guess so. And
so it must
you
have
were
been
here
12
in 12
when I wore it. But yeah, I pitched in a few games with the black jerseys.
Did you have the no pinstripe white?
The cream one?
So these pants.
Oh,
these
the Snow White.
Snow White.
Snow Whites were nice.
Snow Whites were nice.
And the cream, did you like the cream?
I like the cream with the pinstripes.
Yep.
I like the white pinstripes better.
You know what I have? Jersey, I have a Jason Bay cream with the pinstripes.
Nice.
It's a pretty good one.
JB.
It's a pretty good one.
I have a Mike Pelfrey Big Pelf, custom Big Pelf, New York Road Gray.
Road Gray.
Road Gray.
Nice.
What do you have? Do you have any? I mean, I'm sure you got some good ones.
Yeah.
Do you still have the jerseys at home?
I still have all my jerseys. Yep. I have my debut jerseys kind of in a box, and then I've given some jerseys to family members and stuff like that. So, I'm a big fan of black, especially at night games. Like
it goes hard, man.
Friday
It's
night.
tough.
Yeah, I love it.
And whenever you guys wear the black on a Friday night, you guys are mashing home runs left and right. You never lose. It happened this past Friday.
Yep.
Last year against Colorado, you hit like 6 home runs. The Brave game, the 4-homer inning.
Exactly.
I like the black unis, baby.
You should wear them all the time.
I'm
last
with
question.
No, just kidding.
Jeremy, thanks so much for joining us. Look forward to meeting you next time at the Apple.
Yep. Thanks for having me, guys.
Before we wrap up, a quick reminder to head to your local PC Richard & Son this week. They're local, they're family-owned, and they are guaranteed to have not just the lowest prices, but friendly and knowledgeable salespeople.
For appliances, TVs, electronics, and mattresses, get to PC Richard & Son, the company you can trust since 1909. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next time at the Apple.